Across the world, something quiet is happening. It doesn't make headlines every day, but it shapes the way we think about life, truth, and meaning. More and more intelligent, educated, thoughtful people are walking away from religion. They're not necessarily becoming hostile to belief, but they're recognizing that the stories and doctrines they once accepted without question no longer make sense when weighed against reason, evidence, and lived experience. And the question is, why? Why are intelligent people leaving religion in growing numbers? For many, the journey begins with a simple contradiction. A child raised in a particular faith is taught that their religion is the only true one. But as they grow older, they realize that billions of others around the world are taught the same thing about their own religions. They can't all be right. An intelligent mind asks, is my belief true because it is true, or only because I was born into it? That question is often the first crack in the wall of certainty. Where ancient people saw the wrath of gods in thunder, we now see atmospheric electricity. Where once plagues were punishments, we now understand bacteria and viruses. Lightning rods, vaccines, airplanes, and smartphones all stand as monuments to human understanding, proof that the natural world can be explained without resorting to the supernatural. For an intelligent person, this creates an unavoidable tension. If science explains so much with clarity and evidence, why cling to explanations rooted in myth and miracle? Another reason is the moral contradictions in holy texts. Intelligent people read carefully. They notice the commands for compassion and justice, but also passages that endorse violence, slavery, or discrimination. When a book claims to be the perfect word of a perfect God, even a single contradiction demands an answer. Intelligent minds cannot dismiss the cognitive dissonance forever. Some try to reinterpret, some look for metaphor, but eventually, many realize that these contradictions are not errors in interpretation. They are flaws in the text itself. And once you see a flaw in a foundation claimed to be flawless, the entire structure begins to crumble. Critical thinking also plays a powerful role. For centuries, access to information was limited. A person might only ever hear one perspective from family, community, and clergy. But today, with the internet, podcasts, lectures, debates, and books available to anyone with curiosity, the walls of dogma are collapsing. An intelligent person exposed to competing arguments cannot ignore them. They begin to compare religious claims with evidence, philosophy, and history. They see the similarities between myths across cultures: virgin births, floods, saviors, gods of thunder, gods of war. Patterns emerge. And once you notice those patterns, it's difficult to believe that your tradition alone is uniquely true. Emotional honesty is another factor. Religion often thrives by offering comfort, the promise of eternal life, the assurance of justice after death, the idea that suffering has a divine purpose. These are powerful ideas, but intelligent people eventually ask themselves, am I believing this because it's true, or because it makes me feel better? If the comfort of a belief is the main reason for holding it, that belief cannot be trusted as truth. Intelligent minds are drawn not to what feels good, but to what is real, even if reality is harder to accept. Think of the scientist who looks at the age of the Earth and cannot reconcile it with young Earth creationism. Think of the doctor who sees diseases that prayer alone cannot heal. Think of the philosopher who notices how every religion mirrors the culture that created it. These are not enemies of faith. They are seekers of truth. And for them, truth cannot be sacrificed on the altar of tradition. Consider history. Intelligent people look back and notice how religions have shifted their claims in the face of evidence. The church once opposed the idea that the earth revolves around the sun. Some leaders fought against vaccination. Others opposed basic human rights, only later to reinterpret their doctrines. When truth changes not because of revelation, but because of evidence and social progress, it becomes clear that religion follows humanity rather than leading it. Morality does not come from religion alone. Intelligent people recognize that compassion, justice, and kindness are human values, not the exclusive property of any holy book. We do not need threats of eternal punishment to know it is wrong to harm others. We do not need promises of heaven to know it is good to help. Intelligent people leave religion not because they want to be immoral, but because they discover that morality is bigger, deeper, and more universal than dogma allows. Religion has often been tied to power, political, social, and financial. Intelligent people see the hypocrisy when wealthy preachers demand donations from the poor. They see the power structures that keep people obedient, not enlightened. They notice when belief is enforced not with reason, but with fear of hell, shame, and social exclusion. And they ask, if this belief system were truly self-evident, why would it need threats to maintain it? At the same time, intelligent people are not leaving to embrace nihilism. They are searching for meaning in new places, in philosophy, in science, in art, in human connection. They find wonder not in the supernatural, but in the natural. The birth of a star, the complexity of DNA, the mystery of consciousness, these inspire awe that is real, not imagined. They find purpose not in serving a distant deity, but in contributing to humanity, building communities, and seeking justice in the here and now. Examples are everywhere. Surveys show that scientists are among the least religious groups on Earth. Famous thinkers like Bertrand Russell, Carl Sagan, Richard Feynman, and countless others have expressed doubt not out of arrogance, but out of humility before reality. Even today, more and more people are quietly stepping away from pews and prayer rooms, not because they hate faith, but because they love truth. Leaving religion is not easy. Intelligent people often face rejection from family, community, and friends. They may struggle with guilt, with fear, with loneliness, but they endure because the alternative, living a lie, is worse. For them, honesty matters more than comfort. Reality matters more than tradition, and freedom matters more than conformity. In the end, intelligent people leave religion because they care about truth. They refuse to ignore contradictions. They refuse to accept stories that cannot withstand evidence. They refuse to let fear dictate belief. They are not abandoning meaning, they are creating it. They are not abandoning morality, they are grounding it in reason and empathy. And they are not abandoning awe, they are finding it in the universe itself, vast and mysterious, waiting to be explored. So when we ask why intelligent people are leaving religion, the answer is not arrogance or pride or rebellion. The answer is simple. They want to live in truth, and truth, once seen, cannot be unseen. If this video resonated with you, join us on this journey. Subscribe to The Rational Lens, where questioning is not a sin, but a virtue.